Ruramiso, welcome, and thanks for sitting down with me. We're here at the ISF Congress in South Africa, really in the middle of the buzz, so we're hearing a bit of background noise. You're coming from Zimbabwe and you're a farmer there.
Yes, I'm a farmer in Zimbabwe, and thank you very much for having me.
And when we look at the farming industry in your country and perhaps in the rest of the continent, what would you say are the biggest challenges for a farmer at the moment?
I'll say the biggest challenge for a farmer is organizing these smallholder farmers. So a lot of farmers in Africa are smallholder farmers. So when we say smallholder, we mean farming on 1 hectare or 2 hectares or even less than that piece of land. So you find that access to resources for these farmers, like inputs, access to knowledge on how to farm, is very difficult to access. So that's really a big challenge when you look at those farmers are the most hungry, yet they are on the largest piece of land, and they are the ones who are responsible in a way to be able to feed themselves and able to feed their children. So finding ways to organize smallholder farmers is a real challenge.
Yeah. I'm sure there are some other challenges, access to seed, access to other input factors.
Correct. Like I said, access for the smallholder farmers. This is the access to the finance, this is the access to the inputs. So the inputs, which is the seed, the fertilizers, even the chemicals and the know-how of how to use those is a real challenge for farmers.
Yeah. You're also running an organization called Mnandi Africa. Can you tell me what that organization is about?
So I'm a commercial farmer in Zimbabwe. When I started farming, I didn't realize that I was going to form my own organization. I did see the challenges that I faced as a woman farmer and the challenges that my other smallholder farmers faced, even access to correct certified seed. But I never really thought that it was my responsibility until I realized when I went to the US in 2016 and I met Barack Obama. And he said that, the challenges that are in Africa are for Africans to solve, not to wait for international organizations to come and bring solutions. So that's when I formed Mnandi Africa. So the vision for Mnandi Africa is to give access to rural women farmers, access to seed, access to fertilizer, access to knowledge, access to markets. So access is really key to Mnandi Africa's formation.
Yeah, wonderful. Good luck with your organization.
Thank you.
Very important role.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We also know from the predictions, from the United Nations predictions, that by 2050, which is closer than most people think, we will have 1 billion extra people on this planet, on top of the 8 billion that we already have.
Yes.
How are we going to feed all those people?
So, we actually need to be responsible with the resources that we have. Because if you think about it, we have extra people, but we will not have extra land. What we will have is we need to have the farmers that are farming to be able to use the correct resources. So right now we have people who use recycled seed to grow, and you see the potential of that seed is not as good as other like certified seed. So we need to ensure that farmers have access to correct resources for them to farm. And we need to ensure that whatever they farm is not wasted, like for food losses, but they actually are able to produce yields. So we need to look at the whole chain. What is the reason why they're losing yields? They're losing them to pests and diseases. They're using them to wrong seeds. They're using them because they just don't have the knowledge of how to do it. We need to be responsible stewards of our earth to say every square meter of soil should be able to produce, to give us a good yield. Otherwise, we're just wasting resources year in, year out.
Yeah. Some very important messages in there, but I think a lot hinges on awareness, right?
Correct.
We need to build that awareness amongst all the actors in the whole chain, starting with the farmers and all the way through the consumer.
Yes.
Not to waste any.
That's true. Definitely, we really need to look at the value chain, because when we have a broken value chain, that's when we see all these problems happening.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here at the ISF World Seed Congress, and we're surrounded by seed companies, African seed companies, all the rest, worldwide seed companies. What kind of advice would you like to give to those seed companies? How can they help the African farmers?
Well, it's definitely the responsibility of our seed companies to really look at what are the challenges in terms of access. So you find is distribution the challenge? So sometimes you find that distribution of those seeds is a challenge. How can we improve that distribution to ensure that farmers in the far corners of the country are able to access the seed? And when we look at different seeds, we might look at the grains, which may be easy to store, but there are also other seeds like potato seed, which is very difficult and has had the challenges of tuber moth. What are we doing to ensure that we're developing good cultivars for farmers that give them a return on investment? Because farmers at the end of the day, they want a return on investment. Farmers are tired year in, year out, fighting the same diseases, the fall armyworm. We need to really ensure that we're developing the correct varieties that will support these farmers to be able to produce good yield.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, but of course, this is a very long-term process. We can't get there tomorrow, so we're going to need a whole lot of different action plans to make sure that the African farmers have, all the input factors they need, right?
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Ruramiso, thank you so much for your time. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me.